to serve him, heavenly King of glory.
What a day we've had. It has been amazing today. February 21st, 2014. We went walking around outside some apartments and we talked to so many people. I love Kent because there's so many people outside, and this one guy especially we talked to. We saw this guy and so we said, "Hey, how's your day going?" He was interested in talking, and he was from Guam, and we had a good discussion about the church and stuff, and we invited him to church. He was excited to come. He's like, yeah, I'll come. And then we said a prayer, and then after we said a prayer, he's like, thank you. I really needed that. And then he gave us hugs, which, but he was so sincere, and it just melted my heart. I was like, wow, he was put in our path for a reason, and God knew that he needed to have a little bit of a cheer up, and he's YSA age, so what are the odds of that? It's like such a miracle. What's crazy is we're in my old area, right? And so we went to go knock on this girl's door, and it was the same apartment building as the Valencias that we talked with me and Sister Global with, and it was right up there, and I was like, okay, can we just go knock on their door, because they have YSA aged people who live there. So we knock on the door, and it was so cool to see them, and it was like a reunion. We forgot something, so we had to go back to this area, and as we're walking, this car pulls up next to us, and it's like, sisters! We were a little bit nervous at first because this car comes, there's music bumping, he's like, yeah. Then all of a sudden the window rolls down and the car stops, and he's like, sisters! And we're like, oh, okay, it's probably safe. So we go up and we walk up to him, and he's like, hey! And he tells us that his story from when he lived in Chicago, he's a musician, so he was doing stuff, and his grandma recently died, and he saw two elders, and he asked them to come over and talk to him. And he's like, what are you guys doing around here? Because they looked out of place in their suits. And they just said, we're missionaries, and went on their way. They didn't even share anything about the gospel. And so he was like, they missed their opportunity because I wanted to learn more. And then later on, sisters knocked on his door a couple years later. And he was like, Jesus Christ. He saw Jesus Christ on the badge, and he's like, Jesus Christ, I want to get baptized. Pretty much, that's his story. And his story was so inspiring because he was like, never let someone pass you by because you never know if they're ready. And he was like, you need to go get them. And don't be the missionary who walks past them. And things are going great. It's been amazing, but I'm going to go to bed. Hello! It is February 22nd? No. No, it's not.
Isn't it the 23rd? It's the 23rd.
2014.
Yay!
Anyways, that was supposed to take long. So, today was our first Sunday at the YSA Award.
It was fantastic.
It was
fantastic. So awesome.
It was quite an interesting day today, to say the least. The first counselor came and was like, hey, so our speaker just canceled, and can you guys each give a 10-minute talk?
So scary.
We're like, what? We also had to teach gospel principles.
That went well. It went. It went. It didn't die, but it didn't sail either. It just kind of just went.
Yeah. Then after that, we'll fast forward to a miracle that just happened.
Yes, it was so cool. Okay, so we were going to see a referral.
They had a scheduled appointment for 8 o'clock.
So we went, knocked on their door, and they weren't home. So we started walking back, saw these two guys, and we're like, okay, let's talk to these guys.
Like, hey! He's like, hey, are you from a church? Like, first thing.
Yeah.
Are you from a church?
So he started talking to us, and he's like, what church? And we said, LDS, we're Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we're Mormons. And he's like, oh, Mormons are Christian? And yeah, and I think I've been baptized in the Mormon church. when I was 9 or something, but I don't ever go. And his friend was talking about how he doesn't really believe in God, but he had all these legit questions.
Yeah.
They all kept asking questions. I'm like, we got
Like,
the
we
answers!
have your answers! We just don't have the time! Because it was running late.
So we set up a return appointment at the church on this Wednesday, and we are so excited to meet them again. And they both sounded like they were going to show up.
Yeah.
So we're praying for them to show up.
Yeah, and after we told them, they're like, when we're like, this is not a coincidence that we met you, like, we were just walking back to our car and then out you guys came. They're like, what? But after we prayed, we said a prayer, but Eric said the prayer, and he was like, he turned to me and he was like, did you hear him say this? I don't know if he did. He was like, thank you so much. I needed to pray, and I needed this talk, and I'm glad that we found you guys. A great first week!
Yes!
Woo!